All right, all right, all right. Happy Wednesday for some of you guys. If you are in a different time zone, it is already Thursday for you. So happy Thursday for you. For those of you that are in my time zone, happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, let me know if you guys can hear me. And while I am waiting for you guys to confirm if you can hear me, I think it's just one person. I do see that D is in the house. What's up, D? How is it going? And then Angelina is in the house. This is your first Wednesday midweek check-in live. So I'm glad you were able to catch this. I don't know if you're still in here. All right, D can hear me. All right, all right, all right. Give me 1 second because I don't want to have another jump scare. I need to make sure that the audio from the other scene is mute. So turn your earphones down or your volume down. I need to make sure that the audio from the other scene will not cause a jump scare. I keep forgetting to pause that. So give me a minute, you guys. So put your volume on mute real quick so this won't scare you. All right, I'm back. So now we don't have to have that jump scare like last week. But yes, let's get it going. On my agenda page, I'm so excited about today's topic. I want to first start off by saying that today's topic is inspired by one of my lovely loyal subscribers who is also in the chat right now, and that is D Cypher 69. So today's topic is inspired by D. We were talking about some stuff last Wednesday, and childhood innocence, popped up in the conversation, and then D recommended that we talk about childhood innocence. So yes, here we are today talking about that. How's everybody doing? So let's first begin by let me go to this page actually, because we have to check in. Hold on. Let me go to this page first. Okay, so this is my rules and stuff that I want to make sure that I show. That's my live panel, my live panel grounding rules. Put that on the screen for a bit. All right, and then, all right, so we're on the group panel. So we can check in. Now I did see, let me scroll up. I do see here, D, you wanted to test out your setting. What do you mean by that? You said, can I try the panel? Just want to see if my setup works. I'm sure your setup works. I already tested my group panel setup. So come up if you want to. If you come up now, I don't want you to come down. So come up if you want to, express and speak, or talk about how your week's been. I don't want you to just come up just to see your setup works and then come back down. No, 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 no. Okay, so it works. I made sure everything worked before going live. I'm just waiting for you guys to say. I think it's just you in here, D. I'm not sure. Let me know if you're still in here, if you can hear me. But let's start checking in, D. If you can let me know how's your week been going so far. We can start doing the check-in portion. Actually, I do remember checking in with the agenda first, because I wanted to show the agenda first. So yeah, let me jump to that. Let me go back to the agenda. I'm going to mute the start music real quick because something tells me that this thing might end up starting itself. So I'm going to just completely disable that. So yeah, I definitely want to go back to the agenda part because yeah, I remember I did that last Wednesday. I'm trying to remember my order. All right, so let's go take a look at this agenda. Oh, I just love it. I love when this just pops up. So do I have the right date on there? Is today the 5th? Yeah, okay, today's the 5th for me as a recording of this live. So yeah, we're gonna check in. Okay, we're gonna start off with checking in. And then next we're gonna talk about it's supposed to say childhood innocence, but I could not fit it in there. So it just says innocence, but it's childhood innocence slash parentification. Okay. Parentification is what we're also going to talk about. Okay. And then I have some TikToks to show you that talks more about childhood innocence. And then after that, we're going to talk about the topic. So that's what open discussion means. Open discussion is just about the stuff that I showed you. Now, I forgot to add in there that I got some slides too. So yes, I have some slides to show you that also talks about childhood innocence. Okay, so that is the agenda. Let's do the check-in. So after we check in, if anybody would like to share about how their week's been, after we do that, then we're going to jump straight into the actually it is on here. My slides is on here. I just got the order wrong. It's supposed to be the TikTok, then the innocence parentification. So I got the order wrong. It's on here. It's on the agenda. All right, so that's the agenda. And then now let me go back to the group panel. So let's check in. D, are you still here? All right, let's this says 2 people. So I see 2 people so far. Is that, I'm assuming that's D. So we can get this going. I'm still here. I'm just waiting to see if someone is going to say something. Like I said, I believe this is D still here. So, okay, there he is. D says here, just setting up the studio. All right, all right, all right. Go ahead and set up your studio. I guess while you're setting that up, you know, of course, you can check in on the panel or you can check in the chat. I will go first. Before I do go first, I do see that Angelina is saying something. So Angelina says, I'm sad. We're all in this life. You can definitely elaborate more on that for me, Angelina. That is very vague. So it's kind of difficult for me to feedback, you know, what you mean by that. So yeah, tell me more about this. You know, let's check in, Angelina. How's your week been going so far? It sounds like you have something to talk about. So I'm here, you know, I'm here. Where is Skylar? I have no idea. Skylar is out there doing what she has to do in her life. I have no idea. Hopefully she comes and check in and check out the live, but we shall see if Skylar pops in. We shall see. You know, sometimes people are busy, Angelina, and you know, they can't make a live. And if that's the case, you know, people may not make a live. You may not make a live. So you can always replay my lives. This is every Wednesday. So, you know, this is not mandatory, of course. But yeah, let's talk about it, Angelina. What's going on? Tell me more about this. I'm sad. We're all in this life. If you can definitely tell me more about that. Make sure that you do not use triggering words, because I do have a YouTube filter that will filter out trigger words that are related to mental health. So just be very mindful when you express in the chat, just to let you know. All right. So Angelina says, I'm glad we're all in this live. Okay. I was just making sure. Now I was checking on you because you did say I'm sad. Now, if you're glad that we're all in this live, you got to let me know about what you mean by I'm sad, though. Or was that a typo? I'm just making sure you're okay, because that's the whole point of the midweek check-in. This is your first one, Angelina, so welcome. This is a live that has my camera off, and I will be sharing some videos and slides and stuff like that. So this one is really, really different from the other lives I did when my camera was on and we were having good vibes. So this one is a little more different. Okay. So yeah, would you like to tell me more about that I'm sad part? But yeah, I highly agree with that, that we're all in this live. And like I said, hopefully I get some more people in here, but I'm working with what I got. I'm working with what I have, and I'm grateful for UND. At least I have UND in here, and I'm not talking in here by myself. But while I'm waiting for D or you to, let me know how you all, how you're doing, or how's your week been, whether it was good or bad. If it was good, I want to know. Try not to just say, "Oh, it was good." Let's get into details. What made your week so far good? Let's get the dialogue going. If you're having a tough, rough week, something's on your mind, if you need if you need some advice, or if you need to see something in another perspective, let's check in now before we move on to the next portion of this live. I guess I can go first. I really don't have anything to say. I would say, I guess I can say that my aha moment, I think about that a lot when I think it was Friday's live. Yeah, this was when I was my Friday live. Um, that really made me feel good. I want to share. I think about that aha moment for me a lot. I went live that day, a hot mess, crying and stuff. And then you know, I received some wonderful, wonderful advice that just made so much sense to me, made so much sense to me. It resonated with me in so many ways. And I will say, because of that particular lie, and I got in that aha moment, or I just felt heard or seen or understood because somebody else understood where I was coming from. It really did a lot for me. It did. And when I went live on, I think Sunday, I remember D, right? I asked D, or even Skylar, I said, do you see like a slight change in me? Like, even if it's a small change. And Skylar and D agreed. They said, yeah, it's like an aura. And I'm still feeling that way. I do. I am still feeling that way. I didn't have any like when I try to feel down, sad, or sometimes I self-sabotage my emotions, right? Because it's what I'm used to. It's my unhealthy coping mechanism. I will self-sabotage my emotions and make myself sad for no reason. But this time, from Friday to now, I'm happy to say that there's like a sense of peace. And D, you nailed it for me. Liberation. I love that. You went you went to one of my lives and you commented and you said, okay, the word you were looking for was liberation. Liberating. It's very liberating. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I don't have any negative things to say about my week. I'm just still fixated on my Friday live about my aha moment. And I like that. I really do. I like that. It puts a smile on my face. So yeah, let's see, what else can I say? I took care of some errands, and that's it. Took care of some errands. I didn't really leave the house like that. Just to, of course, do the basic stuff. You got to leave the house to check your mail. I had to go to the library and do some print. You know what? I'm glad I said library, because I was there yesterday, extremely annoyed because someone was in the library just being so rude, and this person was 2 computers down from me. And I just remember, like, I just needed to get out of there because this person was loud, rude, saying the B word, saying the N word, laughing. I just was so agitated. And even with a situation like that would have like triggered so many of my mental illnesses that I already have. But I kept it going. I was on the computer. I just had to print out the stuff that I needed to print out and go. I didn't want that person on the computer just ruin my day or things like that, because I know I can dwell on something or think about it. That guy's behavior in the library would have went home with me. I would have been thinking about it, ruminating on it, and it would have killed my day. But I didn't let it kill my day. I did not let it kill my day. I just said, do what you got to do, print out these papers, and go home. And that's what I did. So yeah, it's just people can be idiots, man. I'm like, this is a library. This is a library. And when you kick out people in an established like that, where you have to be quiet, like the theaters, for instance, at the movie theaters, you're not supposed to be talking loud. People are trying to watch the movie. And in the library, you're not supposed to be all loud and rude. People are trying to study. People will get so upset when you try to kick them out. They would throw a tantrum. They would go crazy, bananas and nuts and stuff, because you're trying to kick them out because they're being rude. I'm like, sir or ma'am, you're being rude. This is why you're being kicked out. But I don't know. It just doesn't register. They're very entitled people out there in this world, and they feel that they can just do whatever they want. You have people that can't stand authority. I knew someone like that, when, they couldn't stand authority. You couldn't tell them nothing, did not like authority at all. And this, I mean, I don't want to judge anybody, but this person definitely looked like someone that probably would have been very upset had they kicked them out. I'm sure of it. I mean, I could be wrong, but this person definitely seemed like a person that would have put his foot down and like, no, you're not kicking me out of this library. But anyway, so other than that, I mean, hey, my week's it's going pretty good. So far, so good. I mean, it's only the midweek, it's only the middle of the week, but for the most part, it's going good. All right, let me read the chat here. D says, I'm glad that it did. And yes, thank you, D. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Because yeah, you were the one that helped me just feel much better about this whole, broken topic and stuff that we had. And yeah, it's very liberating. Very liberating. So what's going on, D? What's going on with you? So that's my check-in. I see there's two other people in here. I don't know if Angelina is still in here. I don't know who this other person is. But yeah, D, what's going on with you, man? Would you like to check in? Or I know you said you wanted to test your setup. So if you still want to test your setup, I don't know if that's your shy way of wanting to come up here and speak. So if that's your shy way of coming up, I mean, I can pass you the link right now. But I'm sure my setup works. But we can bring you up here. That's no biggie. But would you like to say anything about your week? Anything positive? Are you having a rough week so far? Let me wait for you to say something, and then we'll move on, D. We'll move on to what our topic. Get me up there. You got it. So give me one moment. Let me go to my computer. Anyways, D. So yes, thank you so much for coming up. Okay. I hope the nerves are gone. The nerves are gone. So now you're up here with me. So what I plan to do is I just plan to have you up here for the entire duration of this live, if you're okay with that.
Well, I've been on your live for 5 hours.
Oh, I know, right? So what kind of a question is that, right? So
yeah,
okay.
remember the first thing I told you before that I kept someone hostage for 5 hours?
Yes, I would never forget that.
Yeah, that was it.
Yes. Okay. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I want to make sure you are comfortable with not really conducting the live, but I want, because especially for the fact that this is your topic and I love this topic, I just want you up here with me while I'm going over the topic, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, because you're already up here. So, and I want to keep you up here too, because I want your feedback. So I do have some videos and some articles and stuff to show. And since you're already up here, you can just keep yourself on mute, keep yourself on mute. So that way it'll sound clear when I play the videos and stuff like that. And then once we go over the content, you could take yourself off on mute and then we can have our open discussion. How does that sound?
Yeah. This isn't my first rodeo with being a guest to a podcast or something.
Okay, so you got
And
some.
yeah, and remember when I told you that I'm used to using StreamYard?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, so you got your experience of being a guest. Perfect, D. So I'm gonna look at the chat because I see here this Skylar. Okay, I thought I saw. Okay, that was you that said that. Never mind. I'm confused you with Skylar. So you said, "Get up here, Skylar." I know. Come on, Skylar. Let's. Skylar, would you like to come on up and be guest number 2 before we begin? Because yeah, let me know, Sky. Is she still in here? Okay, I see 4 people, so I think she's definitely still in here. But it's up to you, Skylar. No rush. No rush. I don't want to, put you in the hot seat. But if you would love to join us, I can put you right, besides me on number, guest number 2. But if not, Skylar, that's okay. Just check in the chat. I want to see how your week's going, how your week's been. You didn't really miss much, Skylar. We were just trying to get, D up here. I so far just shared my week about saying how pretty much what D talked about with me on Friday when I was a hot crying mess, about the whole aha moment and how he was, how he shared about, just accept that you're broken. I mean, that just sticks with me, Skylar. And I was sharing earlier when you wasn't here how I don't know, it's just something about that live that it definitely did something to me. And this is why I asked you guys, like, do you see a slight change in me? Because I felt it. And then I like how you went to the comment section, D, of that live and said what you were looking for was, liberating. And yeah, perfect word for it, D. That's exactly what it is. It was very liberating, free to just like, okay, somebody understands where I'm coming from. Plus, like, this is it. This is it. And because I'm tired of, the gaslit version where people tell you, oh, you're not this, you're not that, you're going to be okay, you're not this. And that never stuck with me. It never resonated with me. It didn't feel right. It just felt like the watered down version of my world. And what you said to me, D, or what you said, it resonate with my world. It makes sense to my world. So yeah. So that's my week so far, Skylar. I mean, I'm in a good place, a peaceful place for now. And I also shared how that I've controlled my emotions, I guess you could say, for the most part. I didn't have any kind of BPD episodes or emotional breakdowns since Friday's live. So I'm proud of myself. I'm definitely proud of myself. So yeah, so thank you for that, D, since you're up here. Thank you for that.
Um, I'm glad someone can appreciate my opinion at least.
Of course, and your opinion matters on here. I feel like I think I need to have you up here more because you definitely help me see a lot of things in a different perspective. I every time you put your insights or your advice or your suggestions, it just always makes sense to me. It's almost like we're on the same page, right? Wouldn't you agree? Like listening to me so far, would you say that we are kind of on the same page when it comes to our healing journey? Would you agree?
Uh, I don't know. Not really, since we both have our own different stories. It's just that uh, I'd say our path to self understanding kind of matches.
Yeah, and that's true too. We are, and I mentioned that before in the comment that I made on that live, that really really long comment I made when I said everybody's healing journey does look different. What I was mainly saying in terms of our agreements, how we agree, how we see things, how we our perspectives is kind of almost sync. I think kind of like that. Not in a way that our journeys are the same, because I highly understand that everybody has their own healing journeys. It's just like our ways of thinking or how we view the world, something like that. Like I see that for the most part, because like I said, every time I talk with someone, especially a professional, and I start to share, they don't seem to really get it. They don't get it. And so what I mean by that is I look at your when I look at your advice or your suggestions, you see the world how you kind of get it. For me, you kind of get it. You may not see it yet, but I don't know. I get it. It's like one of those, okay, he understands where I'm coming from type of thing. I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. You don't come from a place of, oh no, Chrissy, don't tear yourself down. You're not this, you're not that. I guess it's because, like I say, even though we all have traumas, right? We all have traumas. At the end of the day, it kind of still sinks, like sink, kind of like that movie I was telling you about. Remember that movie I told you about, Split, that movie Split, and how he did not harm that girl because her trauma was kind of like, he felt her trauma. He saw her trauma. He felt her, he understood her struggles, her trauma, her background. Kind of like that. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You don't come from a person that's like a person's like, I guess because you're not a professional. I'm so used to talking to professionals. I'm actually talking to someone who has trauma, if that makes sense, or who had trauma.
Yeah, it's because the I think the best word that can describe when you said about us being in sync, it's not because I mean not totally that we're in sync. It's just that you're open to different perspectives, and well, I might have had a hand to that, but I don't know.
Yeah, that too, perspective wise, and yeah, and it ties back to me just saying that we see the world, we definitely see the world from a different lens from, I would say, quote unquote typical people, because I don't believe in normal people, typical people. So, like I said, because I'm talking to someone who's had it hard, right? Who's had it hard, who didn't grow up um with trauma, or you're like a person I can just relate to pretty much. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like
Well,
we are synced because of our upbringing.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. Like those professionals, as you'd say, um, they were like they had a good upbringing because they're in the position that they're in, right? So it's not about understanding; it's more of relatability. So if you can't relate to a topic, then how can you speak your own opinion? Your opinion would be irrelevant at that point, I think.
Yes, and you definitely nailed it. Because like yeah, when I speak, and it's not to say that the professionals and stuff do not have their own trauma. I think a lot of the professionals became therapists, psychologists, or psychiatrists because of their past. Who knows, right? But it's just seemed like when I speak with them, they seem very robotic. It seems very systematic because that's what they're trained to do. They are trained to give us the gaslight, the gaslight version of telling you, no, you're not broken. No, you're not this. If you heal, you're going to feel this. It's almost like they're trained to say that to us. But like when I talk to authentic people like you or Skylar, we give each other like the reality version, if that makes sense. So I think that's why I'm like, okay, yeah, we're definitely in sync. And but yeah, it's an amazing feeling. And that's why I'm so glad I made this channel, because I want to meet others that have the same perspective as me, or even the same perspective you or Skylar or whatnot. I'm gonna read the
Y-
chat real quick. Oh, you can go ahead, feed on to that, D. I'm just gonna read the chat real quick.
Yeah, and I think their profession is the thing that's holding them back. Like all the all the policies and whatnot, and trying to not get sued, and you know, uh,
Exactly.
they're y- they're they're very much trying to be by the book. But I know some of them like really wanted to help, but they're just they can't really like express that without breaking some rules, and that's understandable since that's their career, their livelihood. So, but yeah, the difference is that me and Skylar are not tied to any liability when it comes, because this is not our career. We're just giving our opinion, and we're just your subscribers, I think.
Absolutely, D. I'm going to feedback and piggyback to what you just said. I'm just going to quickly say something to Skylar. So yes, Skylar, I see here, says Skylar says, hold on, let me back up a little bit. Um, Double tap the screen and give a like guy. Oh, okay. Thank you. It's free. Thank you about that, D. I didn't even realize you said that. Thank you. Skylar says, I won't be able to join today. I'm not feeling good today. All so I'll probably be here just listening to you guys. No problem at all, Skylar. Hey, this is every week. If you cannot join this week, no problem. Just sit back, relax, and just listen to the discussion. D says, hope you feel better. How sweet of you, D. And then Skylar says, thank you, praying hands and pink heart. Awesome, Skylar. Well, I'm glad you're here. I don't want to make this being too long. I mean, I am excited that I have D up here, but I don't want to make this live too long. So, because I know you got things to do or you're not feeling well. Hopefully, though, Skylar, by the time this live is over, that you'll feel a little better. But yes, feel better as well, Skylar. I hope you feel better as well. So all right then, D. So to quickly piggyback what you just said, and then after that, I will have you check in because I still didn't see that you checked in yet. So get ready for me to ask you that, D. So, but yeah, to piggyback on that, yeah, they don't want to get sued. It's a big liability. Like I said, I'm sure when they become, when they get into this career, they know the things that they have to say. They have to choose their words wisely. I've been in therapy since 2013, and I know a lot of the professionals bite their tongues. They bite their tongues and they know they don't want to give you that other version, so they have to give you that gaslit version, of course, to protect themselves. So absolutely, D, I highly agree on that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you know what, I need to create some kind of channel that can help me speak with others in my, to see things in my perspective, and of other people who see the world like I do. Because therapy is nice. It's good for those who can attend therapy, but like I said, it's still not all the way there for me. I don't feel like when the sessions are done that I'm like, okay, that was one awesome session. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like that. But when I do my channel though, it's just like every time I do a live or every time like I make a video for my channel, it feels fulfilling to me. So yes, D. So thank you for that insight on that. So yeah. Yeah, let's do your check-in, D. How's your week been since the week started? Anything great? Terrible?
It's always been the same pain, same suffering, but I'm surviving.
And that's all we can do, right? Is survive, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go or you don't have to do anything extra, just the bare minimum.
And sometimes the bare minimum, right, is enough, right? It's enough because we're still here. It's August. Well, it's August 6th for you, but we're still here, and we're on survival mode. That's what I said
Uh,
before. Survival mode is what we're doing.
yeah, I'm also going to dip back on the last live, I think, where I said something about satisfaction is a false sense of security.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I realized that you know um, if you're satisfied with something, that means you're safe, right? Like
Right.
it again, it's safety, and safety is boring, and our mind like tends to tends to go against that because it's not stimulating, it's not exciting.
Right.
That's why most people do or play stupid games to win stupid prizes.
Yeah, it makes me think of when we said how we're never going to be fully satisfied because we want more, right? We want more. So that's what I think of what you just said. It makes me think of that whole thing like we just want more. We're never going to be fully satisfied. We're going to keep looking for ways to keep filling the void, the gaps.
Yeah, and that's why I say we're we're never gonna be satisfied until we're gone, because nothing is filling up that void, because that void keeps on expanding.
Right, right.
And yeah, when I said that satisfaction is a false sense of security, is that from my experience, I told you before that I'm already content, right? And that's that's part of me becoming jaded and numb to everything that's happened to me.
Right.
And so my life is boring, I'd say. That's why nothing excites me anymore. And that's that's good to me. That's fine because boring means I'm safe, and boring means stability in a way.
Yes, and I was just going to ask you that too. I was just going to ask now, how do you feel about that? And you nailed it right when you just said, you know what? It goes back to when we always say acceptance. That is a huge, huge word to like hit. Like if anybody wants to heal, or because like I said, everybody's path is different. Everybody's healing journey looks different. And I was just going to ask you, so how do you feel about that? And when you said, well, hey, boring is my I'm okay being with my life the way it is. I'm okay with that. And that's all that matters. It narrows down to, at the end of the day, it narrows down to, if you are okay with it, if you are okay with your current situation, just as long as we're safe and we're not harming others, then why try to fight against it? Why try to add more to it or fix it? If that's what's your, if it's fixed, then why bother, right? Why bother? Why try to touch it? Why try to you know what I'm saying? Is and yeah, and that's what it makes me go back to Friday when you said just accept the fact that you broke, ND. And I said, I bring this up a lot because it is liberating to me, because I was that person trying to be like, I gotta fix my scars. I gotta fix my scars. I gotta fix my scars. And this is definitely because of, the type of therapy that I receive from professionals. The professionals make it seem like if I work on this, if I work on that, if I work on this, life is going to be amazing. Life is going to be like, your scars are going to disappear. You're going to just, live out to your highest desires and your wants and your needs. That version is watered down to me. And it's not to say that that's not true for a lot of people that are in their healing journey, whether they see somebody that's professional or not. Not a lot of people, I mean, people definitely want to see that or hear that, and they agree with that, but not me. I am fine with how things are flowing with my life, especially after the Friday live, and I'm operating as a person that's damaged and broken, and I'm okay. And I guess you could definitely say that I'm jaded and numb. A lot of that is because I'm jaded and numb, and I'm okay, and I'm fine with that. I am fine. I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to fight. I can't. The scars are there. I'm just trying to make sure I'm safe. I'm trying to make sure I don't harm anyone. That's it. That's my goal now. So absolutely, D. Absolutely.
Yeah, and well, all I'm doing is I'm just speaking from my experience because, like I said, experience is what shapes us. And now this would be a pretty good transition to our childhood experiences, which shapes us as adults.
Absolutely, you got it, D. So, you could definitely from this point on, you could put yourself on mute, and thank you so much so far, D, for giving giving some insights and things like that so far. So good. So thank you for that. I am now going to switch the scenes to. I'm going to start off with the TikToks first, and then I will start off with the slides because I'm not really in a mood right now to be reading. So I rather jump to the TikToks. Okay, so this first one here, it says here, children that do not have a childhood become playful adults. Okay, so we're gonna go over that one first. I'm gonna play all three of the TikToks, and then I will probably pause right there so we can have some commentary about what we just saw. And then after we have commentary about the TikToks video, we will do the slides. All right, so here we go. Let me put my mic on mute, and we're going to start with the first one.
If you were robbed of your childhood, but you grew up to be a successful adult, it can be kind of confusing because it's actually pretty hard to lock in when for the first time in your life you have cultivated an environment where it's safe enough to even be childlike at some level in nature. Because what ends up happening when you're robbed of childhood is that it delays it for you. As I've grown older and I'm the most mature and wise I've been in my life, I'm also the most playful and childlike because I never got to experience that. So, despite having real adult responsibilities, sometimes I just want to go to the arcade. Sometimes my real life responsibilities are competing with the childhood that is now finding me because I was robbed of it earlier. And it'll become a balancing test of when do I allow my inner child to actually have the things it was robbed of? And how do I balance that with my real life adult responsibilities that living up to have afforded me the privilege of being able to even have a childlike nature? This is why it's so important to allow children to be children. Childhood is meant to be experienced so that adulthood can be more palatable and enjoyable because your basis in life was one built on something innocent and hopefully healthy. But when you were forced to be an adult your whole life, when you get the benefits of being an adequate adult in adulthood, it's not that you want to become more of a senior citizen, so to speak. You actually circle back around to everything you were not afforded in the earlier half of life. This is why all the time you see people grow up and finally become financially secure, and they go back to buy everything they wanted as a child. This is also why trends circle around. The things we see in our childhood are trending again. Because a lot of people are robbed of childhood, and a lot of times these are the adults that become successful enough to where their spending dollar is what dictates what trends are. So when these adults go back to buy things from their childhood, suddenly things that were trending years ago are back trending because a whole bunch of robbed childhood adults are now in the ability and financial capability to live out what they always wanted to but was never granted to them. And this is exactly why I say,
You know what I think one of the most painful things about being a childhood trauma survivor is this knowing that you were robbed of your childhood. You were robbed of this childlike, carefree, naive innocence that all children have because you were forced to grow up quicker than you should have, because you experienced or were exposed to things that children can't even comprehend. You were forced to care for others. I mean, the list goes on. You were forced to grow up. You were robbed of your childhood. And you can never really get that back.
Maybe some people didn't get a childhood, they got responsibilities. You can always tell who grew up fast. They don't ask for much, they don't complain, they don't break down in public. They just handle it. Because life taught them early nobody was coming to save them. They learned how to calm storms they didn't create, how to carry weight they never should have held, how to be the adult in rooms where the adults were slipping. And now people call them strong, they call them independent, they call them unbothered. But the truth is, they're just tired. Tired of being the reliable one, tired of being the glue, tired of being the one who always has to know what to do. Growing up fast, it didn't break you, it built you. It gave you wisdom most folks don't earn until their 40s. It gave you instincts that protect you. It gave you a heart that understands pain and still chooses compassion. Baby, if this is you, I see you. I honor you. I need you to hear this. You deserve softness too. You deserve rest. You deserve a life where you don't have to be the strong one every day. Your childhood may have rushed you, but your healing can take its time. Baby, keep going. You're rewriting the story right now as we speak.
All right, let me take myself off mute. I'm assuming that you all were able to hear the videos. So let me read the chat real quick. Let me jump back to the discussion here. All right, so that was the video. We were just hearing about childhood innocence being lost and also parentification. Let me read the chat here. We have Let me scroll up here. Okay, so Angelina is back. Welcome back, Angelina. Angelina says, D, is this just another video or does she look different? Yes, Angelina, these are videos. That was not me. I was playing some videos. Angelina says, hi, Skylar. Skylar says, wait, did I skip? Okay, D asked, what's the difference between playful adults and man-child? Good question. Skylar answers back by saying, think a man-child is more so a man who is emotionally childish or emotionally unstable, someone who can't take things seriously when needed. Where playful is like embracing your inner child. All right, Skylar, I see you ate with that one. All right, then I like that, and I agree. I think that's a great way to to distinguish the both of man child versus um the difference between a playful adult and a man child. Okay, I like that. I like that answer. Skylar says, hi, Angelina. Angelina says, I missed you, friend. Aw, I'm loving the love in the chat. D says, okay, that's the best explanation I've read and can up with on the spot, Skylar. So it looks like D agreed to that response. So that's good. I'm glad you agree with what she said, between the difference of those two. Angelina says, Skylar, is this just a video or does she looks different? Yes, those are videos. Skylar says, "Oh, I miss you too, Angelina. How are you doing today?" D says, "Wait a minute. Um, it's just a video, Angelina. Yes, it's a video." Angelina says, "I'm doing great." Angelina also says, "Okay," and then Skylar says, "Yes, she's just showing us some TikToks that have to do with the topic." Yes, she's talking about, yes, Skylar, thank you so much for that. Angelina, how are you doing? Okay, and then Skylar says, I'm doing great. And then Angelina says, you're looking pretty today, Skylar. Oh, how sweet, how sweet, how sweet. So yes, you guys. So yeah, that was it. That was the videos. Would you like to say anything? Let me bring, well, actually, I'm on my different screen. I was going to bring one up to help you refresh your memory on one of them. I can go back to the TikTok screen. I want to go back. Actually, I do want to go back to the TikTok screen. I want to go back to this one. Hold on. Hold on.
If you
Okay.
if
Okay, this person. I want to go back to this person for a particular reason. But before I do, you can take yourself off mute, D, if you would like, because I want to ask you something. Because I made sure I put some mental notes about this topic because I was trying to ask myself, do I relate to this? Because I had to dig back in my childhood for this one. And but before I give my insights on all three of these TikToks, because remember, we haven't went over the slides yet. I got some slides too. But there's something about this particular TikTok right here that we see that I want to talk about. But yeah, you can take yourself off the mute, D, and let me know your thoughts on what you just saw.
Yeah, I can resonate pretty well with the first video, or the person's on the screen right now.
Okay, what stood out
And
the most to you about this one here?
it's that when you were forced to grow up with all the responsibilities, either with the family or keeping yourself in check and teaching yourself how to survive and all that. Either what I mean by that is either you teaching yourself how to cook, that's one form of survival, like being independent, to feeding yourself. And when you grow up, like missing a part of your childhood, like I said, when you got robbed of that, of the experience of exper- uh, chopping up my words. When
No,
you
it's
get
okay. Take
robbed
your
of your
time.
Yeah, when you get robbed of your that childhood magic, when you don't get to experience it as an adult, when you can, like afford to do all those things. Like, you can afford toys that you weren't able to get because of financial instability, or your either your parents just doesn't care. When you grow up as an adult, and you learn that, oh, I saw this toy when I was just 6 years old, and now I can afford it. And then when you get it, it's not the same, because the excitement isn't there anymore. Like it, when it gets into your hands, like, if you're self-aware, you're going to ask yourself, what am I supposed to do with this? Uh, it your way of thinking as an adult is either the object that you're handling is practical, and how can you use it. That I mean, at least that's how I operate. Like, whenever I tend to buy something for myself, I always ask myself if it's practical and will it last. So those are my qualifying questions in getting something. And but yeah, when it comes to entertainment, or going back to being uh, going back to, like, wanting to reminisce or just experience that lost child, or trying to regain your childhood back. It the the feeling of elation, or just the excitement as a child, is no longer there, because adults think differently. We have a wider scope, and our our way of imagining things isn't the same as when we were a child. So that's my take.
Okay, yes. And what you just shared actually made me think more about this TikTok. Give me one moment while I get the TikTok ready. So it made me think more about
Maybe some people didn't get
not this one. It made me think about hers. She was the one that really mentioned about the parentification, like how a child, was exposed to things too early or worked. She was the one who mentioned that about work. And that definitely resonates with your situation of childhood innocence being robbed, D, if I'm not mistaken, is because you were forced to, work at a very young age. So what you just said definitely made me thought about her, think about her TikTok, as well as she said that is no longer there. It's you won't get it back. And I'm going to challenge that. Actually, I'm going to challenge that. But I do see that you're off mute. Would you like to add something, D?
Yeah, I think it actually encompasses both, since, or all three of the TikToks that you showed, since if you were robbed of your childhood, it's going to circle back to the second video, where uh, you get responsibilities instead. And if you get responsibilities, then you're you don't have any choice but to grow up as an adult to tackle those responsibilities. Like, you will have to change your way of thinking and how you move. So
Right.
that's a simple explanation of it.
Right, definitely. And the first one, yeah, because when you said that, I immediately thought about hers. I'm not gonna lie, I was a tad bit. I was looking at the chat, so I kind of missed a little bit of the point. I don't want to play it again, but I mean I can if I have to. But I thought about hers, and then this one I was telling you guys about. Give me one moment while I get that back on screen. So this one here, this one definitely talked about how the childhood innocence is delayed. And what she said was, when a child loses that childhood innocence, it becomes delayed. Now, this is a key word because I'm going to challenge anyone who plays this live as a replay, or anybody who's watching this right now who believes that the childhood innocence is gone forever. I'm going to challenge that. And I'm actually, I don't think it's gone forever. But let me first piggyback of what this particular person said about how it's delayed. So she says once it's gone, it becomes delayed. So when something is delayed, it's just a temporary pause when I think of the word delayed. And then she says once they get to adulthood, if you notice when adults, are childish, or they purchase toys that they once loved as a child, but they're doing this as an adult, is because I believe that innocence became unpaused. It's no longer delayed now. It just happened to unpause as you're an adult. So to me, what that says is maybe the childhood innocence has never really went away. It was just paused. It was temporarily paused. And I think this is why some people are very childlike, or and there's a difference between childlike and playful. I'll go over that at the end after the slides. I was saving that point at the end. But there is a difference between an adult that's childlike and an adult that's playful. I consider myself, for instance, an adult that's youthful and playful. And I talked about this all the time, how I still like to go to the park. I can play on swings. I still enjoy things that children enjoy, but I am not childlike, though. That's the difference. I'm youthful at heart and I'm very playful, but I'm not childlike. And this person in this TikTok said childlike adults. And I think adults that are childlike, they even talk like babies too. They have lighter voices. They seem babyish. And a perfect example of this is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson proves, at least to me, and I could be wrong, he is a perfect example that the childhood innocence never leaves. Michael Jackson has a very soft, sweet, childlike voice. He's very childish. The way he moves and behaves and speaks, he loves toys, he loves children. That right there is a childlike adult. I don't think childhood innocence disappears or goes away. I think the adults that are stuck like that are like childlike like that, is because of the innocence unpaused itself. And now you're like a kid stuck in an adult body, kind of. So I don't know. I understand that when we do stuff as a kid, it's different. I get that. But some people, like for instance, Michael Jackson, it's obvious that his fantasy, his world, remember, our fantasy is what we want it to be. We create our fantasy world. We create this. We don't know what goes on in childlike people's minds. In their mind, they probably see themselves in the mirror as still a child. So with that being said, maybe it never goes away. Yeah, your body is now an adult. It's big. It got hair on it. You got a beard now. You got a mustache now. But when you look at yourself in the mirror, for some people that have strong imaginations like me, I have a strong imagination. And I shared this before, how I am still best friends with my friend in my head, in my imagination. So in Michael Jackson's imagination, even though he's an adult now, but he is still a kid. He is still a child at heart. He still has those childhood innocence. It was delayed because of, his upbringing, or because of his child star, being a star so young, practicing and practicing every night with his brother. So that had to be placed on hold. He couldn't play outside and things like that. So now he's an adult now and he's childlike. It's just because it unpaused. And like I said, in his mind, in his fantasy, he is a kid. He probably looks at himself as a young Michael. And it made me thought about 2D when you said last week, when you mentioned how when you are alone, sometimes you get childlike. That's a perfect example right there too, that maybe it never left for you, 2D. Maybe in your imagination, or maybe in your fantasy, your childhood innocence was just placed on hold temporarily. And as an adult, it just kept playing. It continued, but now you're an adult now. You're like a child stuck in a guy's body. But the difference between you and Michael Jackson, I would say, is that you're childlike, because I think you mentioned at home. You do this at home. But for Michael, he was just 24/7. This is just him being this childlike guy. I think that's the only difference. But I mean, you guys can definitely challenge me on that. Say, nah, Chrissy, I still don't agree. It's gone forever. And I'm definitely fine if you still think like, nah, I think it's just not there once you're an adult. But I'm just looking at it from a perspective of those that have strong imaginations. So what do you think about that? Is the childhood innocence really gone, or is it still there because of your imagination makes it still there? What do you guys think?
Oh, well, my take on that is, well, based on my own experience, I think mine is not gone, but it's locked deep within inside me. It's because whenever I try to get back on what I used to enjoy as a child, that I never got to fully like experience. And a good example of that would be watching anime, because that's that's what every Asian child in my age group back then used to do, and I never got to fully enjoy that. Now that I'm, working from home, I have all the time in the world. Whenever I try to get back on that, I I don't seem to get the excitement. I don't have the, it's no longer enjoyable to me as much as when I was a child. So, but I still, I'm not afraid to admit that I still have that, um, you know, the wants of a child when it comes to technology, like buying a PlayStation, because I grew up not owning a single console in my life, not even a simple Game Boy or a PSP. So, uh, but yeah, that's my take on that.
Okay. Let me dig more into this. Okay, so from what it sounds like, from what you just said, it sounds like you believe that you also think that childhood innocence does not technically go away. Did I hear that correctly?
No, it doesn't, because every man is a child. Like, we never grow up. We we love to entertain ourselves, but it's just different for others when it comes to how they feel about the activities that they do, whether it excites them, or they just want to reminisce of what they've already experienced as a child. So I think that's the difference.
Okay. So so that I'm glad to hear though. I'm actually glad to hear that you believe that the childhood innocence doesn't go away, because I'm not sure if that was your first take that it does go away. But like I said, I gave a tad bit of example of what I think that because like I said, I personally do not think it goes away, and it goes back to, like I said, MJ being my perfect example. Now here's the thing though. Here's another way how to look at this. It can be a yes and no. It depends on how that particular individual sees it. I can sit there and say that no, it doesn't go away. It can be a yes and no, or a hit and miss, because like I said, it's a fantasy. Michael Jackson's innocence, childhood innocence, we see him the way we see him because that's his fantasy. Like I said, in his mind, and I could be wrong, I'm not MJ, but in his mind, that childlike behavior that we see with Michael Jackson is because he still sees himself as a young boy, and his childhood innocence is real. It feels real. But for some adults though that don't tap into their fantasy, like I said earlier, the imagination is strong. We create what we want to create in our fantasy world. So with that being said, is that once you tap in, once an individual taps in to that fantasy, to that world that they created, so they can dig into that childhood innocence, then it technically, in my opinion, it does not go away. It does not go away because your creative world said so. Now, if you're an adult that's in reality, you're you're present, you don't have that fantasy mind, or your mind is not as powerful, or that imagination is not all the way there, then yes, I will say yes, it is gone. I think the childhood innocence is only present or alive if you have a strong imagination. Our imaginations can take us to any, it can make us feel any kind of way, think any kind of way, behave any kind of way. So like I said, it's a hit and miss. It's a yes and no. It just depends on that particular person's trauma that keeps it alive.
Oh, I definitely think that trauma has a play on it, and but yeah, I'm guessing I'm guessing the way I worded my opinion back then when I said the word gone is what triggered you saying that it's a yes and no. Am I wrong?
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, so you're basing it back, from like your last week when you first mentioned it, like last week's lie?
Yeah, like when I said like my childhood innocence or that childhood magic is gone. When I use the word gone, I don't know. I'm thinking that that word triggered you questioning it or making it making it sound like it's a yes and no answer. Like when I said that it's or when I used the word gone.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you clarified that. But you did also mention as well that it's not the same as well. So that
Mhm.
goes back. So it still circles back to me saying that, okay, what makes it not the same? Because like I said, if an adult taps into their fantasy world, I believe, once again, childhood innocence has never left. Like the girl in this TikTok here, she said that it's delayed. For a lot of people, childhood innocence is delayed. So when they get to adulthood, she says, if you notice, a lot of childlike adults, they go back to the toys that they used to love. They go back, they just got this childlike presence. It's because I believe that childhood innocence get unpaused, but not, it's like a child being stuck in an adult body. So when you said it's not the same, though, I said it depends, though. It depends how you look at it, because some adults will say that it's not the same. But if you have a strong imagination or a fantasy, or because of trauma creates these fantasies, a lot of the time our trauma creates these fantasies, and it will take you there. For a lot of adults, we have a lot of childlike adults, and I think that's why we have a lot of childlike adults, because of their imagination. It keeps it alive. But in reality, we have some adults that understand, like, you know what? Nope, my childhood innocence is gone. I'm in reality now. It don't feel the same, and that's still okay. It's still okay. But we have those out there, like for instance, I use Michael Jackson. I think his imagination definitely saw himself still as a kid, and he's a perfect example that he's living in his truth as a childlike adult with no, unapologetically.
Well, I'm actually going to challenge when you said uh, that the imagine when you said that the imagination is what keeping it alive. Like you know, when we say imagination, it varies from childhood to adulthood, right? But it's what we've experienced during our childhood that molds our imagination. And I'm going to use my own experience uh, as an example. When I was a kid, I used to fantasize, or I really wanted to have a little brother or sister, or just a little sibling, because I'm an only child. Now, back then, I used to fantasize over having one. Like I used to daydream, and that carried over to me daydreaming. But to me, it's no longer viable to have a little sibling that's related by blood, because my parents are old, so they can no longer reproduce, and uh, yeah, they can no longer reproduce. So that affected my way of imagining things. Uh, when I was a child, having I used to imagine of having a little sibling. But as I grew older and became more mature, now I imagine of becoming a father of three. So do you see do you see where I'm getting at? Where I say that our childhood experience molds how we imagine and how we look at things as an adult.
Yes, and I highly agree. I highly agree because we also talked about our past traumas molding who we are as adults today. I know we said that several times on the channel, but once again, going back to fantasy or the imagination, the imaginary world, yes, it varies. It varies from different individuals, and I cannot tap into each individual's fantasies. Our fantasies are created because of our experiences, our traumas. I have no idea, even for, like I said, Michael Jackson's fantasy. I don't know what that looks like for him, but I will say this. What I'm saying more when it comes to the fantasy, though, is that the fantasy just keeps that child innocence energy because, like I said, in a fantasy world, you're anything that you want to be. I definitely see what you mean by like fantasy wise versus an adult versus child. But like the girl said in this TikTok, we have to go back to what she said here. How it's delayed. When something is delayed, it's paused. It is temporarily stopped. It doesn't mean that she didn't say, or also I agree. It doesn't mean that childhood innocence is gone forever. She said it's just delayed. So once it becomes, once it's activated again, your adult mind, that's up to your adult mind to create that fantasy. And Michael Jackson's adult mind, his fantasy, I kid you not, and I could be wrong, but in his fantasy as an adult, now that his childhood innocence is activated again, he's a kid. He's a kid again. He's still looking at himself as that young boy, you know, playing with his toys or you know, being childlike. He is a very childlike man, no doubt about it. I'm sure we all agree of that. So his childhood innocence is now, activated. So it's up to the adults fantasies to create whatever the fantasy they want to create. It's up to them. And then for Michael Jackson, his fantasy is, well, hey, I'm still a kid. I don't care what anybody says. I'm still a young boy. I'm a childlike man. I'm not an adult. And I think at one point he probably admitted that he's not an adult. I'm still a kid. And that's because of that delay from the childhood innocence being temporarily paused, if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, the fantasy thing, a child fantasy versus an adult fantasy, highly agree, total different fantasies. However, because we're talking about childhood innocence being delayed and paused, which goes back to our point being, does it really stop, or does it, or it just be delayed and it comes back? I'm looking at it from the point of view of that it never stopped, it never goes away, it's still there. However, I will say our fantasies make it still there. Not the an adult that understands the reality. I'm not a kid no more. I'm playful, but I'm not childlike. Not those adults. I'm talking about the adults' fantasies that are childlike, and and they're keeping it alive because of their fantasies. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it now, but it's your use of the word fantasy that threw me off, because if we use the person we see on screen as an example, when when they said that um, when they said that their when they tried to regain back their childhood, they went to the arcade and play all those things because they never got to enjoy the arcade as a child due to you know um, taking up the mantle as an adult. You know, taking up responsibilities in their family, or just responsibilities in in an adult, or responsibilities that adults usually handles. So yeah, I get when you said that uh, the childhood is the childhood is paused, or in in this person's case, delayed, because they can always circle back, or they they realize that they can circle back once they got the time and the financial stability to do all those things. Because as a kid, uh, you got all the time in the world, but you don't have the money. But as an adult, you might have some time, but it's more chopped up, or it's scheduled due to um, due to it being divided to work and spending time with the family and all that, um, and your free time. So during your free time, you can decide whether to rest, or circle back to enjoying yourself and being childish, or trying to enjoy what you didn't get to enjoy as a child, uh, like going to the arcade. But now this depends on the individual, whether they truly get to enjoy it, or being jaded like me, where the excitement is no longer there. Like, it's no longer genuine for me, since um, I can't lie to myself. So saying I enjoyed those things as an adult right now is lying to myself, because I just don't feel any excitement um, doing it as an adult. That's why it boils up inside me that the the magic, or the excitement that I was supposed to enjoy or experience when I was a child, was robbed from me.
Okay. And so I want to say this because I know you. Okay, this is what I want to say because I know the fantasy thing, and the fantasy or the imagination and all that stuff that I mentioned. This was just me looking at it from a perspective of for like childlike people. Now, when I was listening to you, for instance, like going back to the arcade, to be honest, that's still not childhood innocence. And I say this because we can't make it seem like adults do these things and you're being a child. No, that's a total difference. I'm sure we can all agree that's a total difference. Because I could, like I said earlier, I consider myself youthful and playful. That's different from being, like an adult and a childlike adult. And I believe, because I know you mentioned you're jaded and that stuff don't make you, excited because, you're an adult now and it's just not the same. What I hear is a person that did not tap into the same mindset as the childhood adult. We have to ask ourselves, and I know we don't have a childhood adult on this panel or in the chat, but I will say, if we had a person that is a childlike adult, they would probably tell you that 9 out of 10 they're able to tap into that D because of their imagination. I'm not even going to say the word fantasy. We have people out there, including me. I have a very strong imagination, and I don't want to blame this on my psychosis, and I don't want to blame this on my depression or my BPD. I can
No,
literally, I can literally tap
no,
myself into a whole nother realm.
yeah,
Okay,
I can totally get that. Yeah, I get the fantasy now, because um, do you know the game D&D?
Which one?
Uh, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
So Dungeons and Dragons is popular in the U.S. but not in the Philippines, right? But me being influenced by the American, like the whole American entertainment system or thing, I was introduced to D&D, and right now as an adult, I'm part of a D&D group. So I, like I said, I can see things in different perspectives, and that's because of my imagination. Like I can imagine things. So yeah, it may sound like it's a what I said is a contradiction, I think, because of me saying I'm jaded to all the childhood, or the me being dead inside is what I'd like to say when it comes to not getting the fulfillment or having to enjoy doing the activities of uh, a child. But yeah, I can when I say or when I use the arcade as an example, I was referring to what the person in the video used as an example. So it was a reference. But yeah, I totally get when you said that um, adults when they go back to their childlike state or childlike mentality, they obviously they use their imagination of they imagine themselves as a child doing doing those activities like a normal child would do. So and again, I can't judge because some people enjoy that, some people don't. I'm just in the latter group, but yeah, that that's just how I see it.
Perfect. Yes. And I'm glad you see it that way now and that you get it now. Cause I know it's very hard to explain. This is something that is very hard to explain because I wanted to challenge that because I do hear it. Like when I was looking at the TikTok videos, for instance, it was a lot of people saying that it's just gone. You're never going to get it back. You're never going to feel it. And I had to really think like, no, I don't think so. I wanted to argue that. So I was using like the only way for me to argue that it's just using imagination. I kid you not. And I think in order to tap into that, childlike mentality, your imagination has a huge role to do with that. Because an adult that's like present or in, that are in, they're grounded, they're in reality, they're not going to tap into that. They're not. Your imagination can help you get there. And like I said, I can be wrong. This is just me trying to look for a way to challenge that because I don't think it went anywhere because we have a lot of adults in this world that are very childlike. And it makes me question, like, how are they able to tap into that? And I can only think of their imagination, right? It got to be their imagination. And then as far as you
Yeah,
saying,
but
uh-huh.
yeah, but you need to factor in as well that either it's either them like really trying hard to take back their childhood or back into or get back into that feeling of being a child, or I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but it's either them gaslighting themselves. So Uh, I mean, that's just my take on it, but I could be wrong, and I'm not I'm not afraid to admit that I was wrong on my take. I mean, I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers. I'm just giving my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. We're giving our perspective because, like I said, this is something that we're challenging. That's number one. This is something that we are challenging by just coming up with our opinions and our perspectives on things. We both can be wrong, right? We both can be wrong. But it's just going back to and I just lost my thought, and I know I hate when I lose my thought about what you just said about the imagination. I'm going to still stick with the imagination getting us that feeling, because like I said, when our minds go into that state, it creates even our feelings. So that person can act that way or be that way or summons themselves back into like that child, is because it all goes back to the mind controlling that. It's
Yeah.
we got a little sidetracked, didn't we? But let's so that's the TikToks. I'm just going to read some slides, D, so you can definitely would you like to piggyback on any other of these TikToks, or would you like me to keep going?
No, I think I've already said my truth about the whole. Instead of enjoying your childhood, you're instead forced to take up some responsibilities that adults should have shouldered for you. And when it's time for you to grow up as an adult, you then you then realize that, oh, I have the money and I have some form of time now
Right.
to enjoy what I didn't get to enjoy as a kid, since I can afford toys now for myself and
Right.
all that.
Right.
But
And
then again, but then again, since you're an adult, you always tend to fall back on your adult mindset that can I actually afford this? When can I enjoy this? And all that with all the adult stuff and checking in with reality on you know sometimes those two ideas clash, and it's all the game will be a balancing act on you. So yeah.
okay, perfect. That's a perfect way to sum this up. And I was going to add in to anyone who's going to replay this live and struggle with this, or they're a childlike person themselves. I would say this. For those that want to go back to that childhood presence, or how to even go back, because like I said, I wish I had someone in this chat or on this live that's childlike, that can help with this topic, but of course we don't. But I want to say this, and this may sound crazy, but I myself wouldn't mind, because I have a powerful imagination. And even though I would say my childhood innocence was robbed because of anxiety, more of a thing, I was exposed to too much as a kid, which is why I have generalized anxiety. But if I really, because now that we're on this topic, I'm like, I want to go back to my childhood innocence. And all I can take myself there. I can literally take myself there by just using my brain power, to be honest. And I would tell anybody this: if you have a strong imagination, I kid you not, you can take yourself back there. For anybody who thinks that their childhood innocence has been gone forever, maybe it's delayed. Maybe it is delayed, and just take yourself back there by just closing your eyes and just imagine yourself, so that way you can have that feeling. Take yourself back there. And if your question is, well, how, Chrissy? I don't know. I don't have the answer to how you can tap yourself into your childlike mind state. That's up to you to find that, and that's if you want to. So I just want to throw that in there for those that think that their childhood innocence is gone. Once again, it circles back to this TikTok. I don't think it's necessarily gone. I just think it's delayed. That's it. So that's how I want to conclude it.
Well, I mean, it's easy. Like the the simple answer to that would be role play.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when you play Dungeons and Dragons, you tend to role play as the
Perfect.
character you're playing
Perfect. Yes,
you're playing
D.
as,
I
and
love
that's
that.
that's that's what I've been doing during our D&D sessions. Like, I submit in my character sheet, and you go on this audible adventure, wherein you communicate with the dungeon master and all that, throwing in some skills, and you imagine your character doing what you or how you describe the scenario would be, or how your character would move in this scenario. You know,
Right.
and your imagination plays a big factor in that.
It sure does. See how it goes right back to imagination. I think the imagination is like the master control of all this childlike stuff because an adult that already understands that they're an adult now, they're in reality now, they're not going to ever tap back into that. So that's why I said earlier it's a hit and miss that yes, it can be gone or no, it can be gone. And it's up to that individual to tap into that. And I think in order to tap into that and to stop that delay, it's definitely role play. I love that you said role play and our imagination. Role play and imagination goes hand in hand. So once again, if there's anybody listening to this, live and they're like, okay, I want to tap back into there. I think that's the first step. Maybe do some role playing, tap into your imagination, just close your eyes and go back to when you were a kid. And who knows, maybe you're going to be in that childlike position as long as you snap out of it and get back into adulthood. We definitely don't want to be a childlike adult. I don't think so. Maybe my opinion, I want to be youthful and playful. I'm a youthful and playful adult. I don't want to be a childlike adult. That's what I don't want to do, because being a childlike, when you're in that trance, you are literally a child. In your mind, you're literally a child. You sound like a baby. You're acting like a
Oh, you're
baby.
you're
Yes.
definitely you're definitely talking about those man babies where where they they clothe themselves in what, a onesies for
Yeah,
adults.
yeah, we have people that go that far. Like I said, the mind is powerful. D, you never know. You might have somebody tap into their childlike trance, and yes, put some onesies on. You don't. I mean,
Well, I mean, you don't have. I mean, as a respectable and you know um, responsible adult, you you would probably know how to balance your act
yeah,
on that, I think. And when it comes to the role playing and imagination stuff, that would also depend on the object, or yeah, the object. Like, D&D is one object of use when it comes to using your imagination and role playing. But using the swings is a whole different ball game, you know, because you're you're you can either play that by yourself or with a friend. Now, that friend also would play in would also factor in, because it gets, I don't know, maybe it gets perceived weirdly in public, um, on how your relationship with that friend that you're playing with on the swing is. And also the age of that friend, if you catch my drift.
yeah, of course, definitely understand that. And then also to piggyback on this too about when you said that, of course, there has to be a balance. I mean, who knows? It all depends. I would say it all depends on the person's trauma. I would say it depends, because some people may not. You never know, right? We never know that some people, when they tap into this, they may not come out of it. They may say, you know what, I like it here, and I want to keep doing this even if I'm outside. And then you have those with
And
that are balanced.
that's that's how those uh, Disney adults are. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right. That they're
when
just like
when
that
you said,
outside and inside. Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to see, we definitely do not want that. We don't want to tap into it and not come out of it, right? I'm just like, when I said that earlier, for those that like, hey, can I find that childhood innocence? I want to definitely make sure I say that you want to tap into it. And if you get there, great. But we got to make sure that we tap back into our, our adulthood responsibilities, right? We got to make sure we do that for sure. So, but yeah, but
Like I said, you you need to know how to balance it and how to time it.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So if you're listening to this and you want to tap into your childlike state, please make sure that you learn how to balance it and tap out of it and, and get back into reality. Absolutely, D. So yeah, I'm loving the conversation so far. So anything else you would like to add on, D?
Um, no, I think that's all for me. And this, I kind of like this setting. Like it it kind of feels like a radio show more than a podcast.
Oh, perfect. Oh, I'm glad. Thank you for that feedback. So hey, this is definitely what I visualized when I created this channel, to be honest. This is why I couldn't wait to unlock lives and get this panel thing going, because like imagine we have like more people tapping in and coming up, putting their perspectives in and their opinions in. This is amazing, D. And I love what I'm trying to do for my channel, because I'm giving people a voice, a way to express, because not everybody can be in therapy, or never not everybody wants it or believes in it. So my channel is that perfect balance for those to just talk about some real life stuff, express, and then, and then see if it helps us or make us feel good about it, right? I love it. I'm loving it too, D. I'm loving it. I want to make sure I respect everybody. But yeah, that is it. But I do thank you so much, D, for being my very first guest. Coming up here, that means a lot to me. I wish you could see me smiling. And once again, since you're up here, I want to thank you, D, for all of the help you did for me in regards to keeping me grounded, keeping me safe, and giving me your perspectives and your insights and all the things that you shared so far in this channel, helping everybody out in the chat. Such a wonderful person you are, D. Even if you don't believe it, hey, I still thank you. So I just wanted to make sure I say that to you once again. I know I say it a lot. I always thank you a lot, but it's that BPD in me, okay? It's that BPD in me. But do know you are loved, and you are definitely a popular person on my channel. I know for sure. I say your name so much on my channel that you are popular over here on these streets, on the Healing Speaks Chrissy streets. But yes, Dee, if you like,
I
you could definitely jump on down if you like, or if you have any last things to say before I close out.
mean, hey, I mean, I can accept all your thank yous, but I also accept pizza. Just saying.
No shade to be. Hey, let's just say this: it's a good thing I like pizza too. So pizza, no shade, okay? No, we friends, pizza. We homies, pizza. Now, if I didn't like pizza, I'd have took that to the heart. I'm like, oh my god, that hurt my heart. Nah, just playing, D. I got you, D. I got you. But yes, you can push end if you like, or if you could say any last words for this live, or like I said, or you could just hop on down. I'm gonna go to my closing page, okay?
Well, a final passage would be never lend your money to anyone unless you're giving it away.
You guys heard that? That's a lesson I need to definitely take. Thank you for that, D. Thank you so much. Just and it was wonderful having
Yeah,
you up here, D. Wonderful having you up here.
I'll see you out.
All right. Alrighty, D. You can let me know in the chat if you are successfully out of here. I can tell that you are. Actually, I think I still see you. Let me end the thing for you. Okay, yes, you are now out of the screen. So pop in the chat for me, D. And I'm going to start switching to my closing page. All right, there you are. He says, I'm out. D is back in the chat. Let me see if I missed anything. Okay, no, I didn't. Okay, we already read that from Angelina earlier. And then you replied to her saying you're welcome. Okay, yeah, so I didn't miss anything. I did have my eye on chat though. All right, let me jump to my closing page. All right, so this is it, you guys. Thank you all for your support. Okay, Thank you all for your support. Healing Speaks Chrissy, speak the language of healing. Okay, I'm all about mental wellness, community, and healing. Always email me if you have a topic. Please email me so I can get some slides and stuff ready for the discussion. If you are one of my loyal subscribers, not subscribers, or loyal supporters, sorry, you do not have to be a subscriber to this channel to be on the panel. But if you liked what you saw, what you heard, and you would love to be a future guest on the panel, just email me. Say, hey, Chrissy, I check out your lives all the time. I'm always commenting on your videos. I want to be up. What do I got to do? All you got to do is email me, okay? I hope you guys like this particular live here for this midweek check-in. I finally had a guest. Shout out to D Cypher 69 for being my very first guest, coming up here, giving me some company. I highly appreciate that, D. So you enjoy the rest of your, I believe it's the afternoon for you, D. I believe so. And for me, it's pretty much almost the next day. But what a wonderful, wonderful live. And I will see you guys for the next week's midweek check-in. Be sure to check out what the topic will be for next week. And other than that, if I plan to go live, make sure you hang out with me when I randomly go live. And I will be having a video posted for my channel soon. All right. All righty, D. That's a wrap. And I am going to end this live now. Thank you all so much for listening. My name is Chrissy. And over here, pretty much I talk any and everything in regards to mental health. I also love to talk about my own mental illnesses that I struggle with on a daily basis. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, thank you so much for, your love and support and supporting my channel. And I see you guys next time. Well, good morning to you. Thank you, Dee. Thank you for the good morning. It's still slightly nighttime. It's 11:25, but hey, you might as well say it's the next day. All right, Dee. Thank you so much, man, for being a guest up here. I highly appreciate you, Dee. And then, so all right, you guys, I see you on the next live, or I see you in my video when I